Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Elevated Marketing Podcast, where we simplify complicated digital marketing topics to make your business grow. My cat has something to say about this, but we're not going to listen to him right now. All right, today we are talking about the art of email list building. There are certainly a ton of different ways to build an email list, and that is what we're going to talk about today. So, what's one thing your parents constantly nagged you about? With the eye roll.
And this is not me complaining because I genuinely have the best parents in the world. The one thing that they used to and still constantly nag me about is like safety, like especially when I'm driving. So I drove to Evansville over the weekend, and
you had a blanket in the car.
Oh, yes. Even Michael made me put a blanket in the car. But, like, remember, bridges ice before other roadways. Watch out for other drivers. No distracted driving.
They just love you.
Yes. So I'm not complaining because I'm very lucky to have those not even gentle reminders, just firm reminders every day.
My parents to this day still nag me about cleaning. I think I'm perfectly fine, but I was notorious for when I was a child of trying to avoid cleaning duties. And so to this day, they're always like, I'm like, I do plenty like around here. Like I have my own particular things I like to do, but Shane has his, and just because they're not as visible.
Yeah.
Like, I'm doing all the taxes right now. That's hours of work. Like, he can do something else.
Yes.
Oh. All right. So let's talk about email list building. So I'll throw a question at you first. Why do I want to build an email list?
There are many reasons why you want to build an email list, but the number one, I would say, I can't even choose number one. I'll give two. One, that's something that you own. So you have these contacts and you can use them not only for your email, but maybe for ads and just other ways within your marketing strategies. But this is your list that you own. That was probably
it's your audience. You own that audience. Yeah. It's one of the few things that you can own in today's world that, super crucial.
Yeah, I would say the second thing why you want to build an email list, because it really is just another part of your marketing funnel, somewhere else that you can keep in contact with your audience. And, we see great things that come out of email marketing. And so building that list is, only going to help along the way. So.
Yeah. I think, in 2024, it's super important to be building a list. And we're going to get to lots of different ways that you can, but why should I never buy a list?
Oh, that's it's 2024. If we are still doing this, then you need to stop. You do not ever want to buy a list because most of the time you're going to show up in spam and eventually you're going to get so many bounces, your domain is going to be blocked and you won't be able to send emails.
Yeah. Even with the new rules that are coming out, let's say you go buy another domain and you send from that domain, a lot of that is potentially going to get blocked as well. And so you're going to be playing this game of buying the list, buying another domain, buying another domain. And it's just exhausting when there's so many ways to build an email list yourself.
For sure. And even before we get into that, there are some changes coming with email deliverability, and it does start with your domain. You have to, I believe it's beginning February 1st, you have to submit a few different records to authenticate your domain. And so that's going to a lot of changes are going to come from that.
Yeah.
I would say more positives. Like we're hopefully going to see higher engagement rates, higher open rates, and a lot of other good things that can come from this. But you will have to put in a little bit of work just to get your domain authenticated and verified.
And I would
Um,
imagine, I mean, I don't know what they're asking for, but you can't be constantly authenticating new domains. They're going to catch on to that.
yeah,
And so that little scheme is not going to work. So a lot of changes to building your email list. So you really need to think about some of these strategies that we're going to talk about to build your own list.
definitely, definitely.
Yeah. So how about why not to go too generic when asking for, do you want to be on my email list?
Right. Yeah. It just simply is not as effective anymore. I mean, email has been around for a very long time now, and we're so used to a lot of times going to a website and here's a pop-up, oh, subscribe to our newsletter and never miss a beat or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's just a little too generic these days. There are a lot of other creative ways to get people thinking and want to be involved, and
Right.
they're joining
Give
your
them
list.
that reason why.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And maybe you do add those simple ways, but
yeah,
it's definitely not going to be the driver of it.
yeah. I think that's something like is really good for your footer.
There
I
you go.
yeah. If you want to have it, put it in your footer.
Yeah, yeah. All right. So let's go down and try to describe some of the ways that you could be building your email list. You want to go first?
Yeah, I can go first. Different opt-in forms. So these forms could be for many different reasons. It could even be as simple as a contact form. But what's happening is when you're building that form, you should be checking allow double opt-in. And
Uh-huh.
so whoever submits that form, they're going to get another email from you. And they're simply going to be either checking yes or no for opting in to subscribe to your newsletter. It's not very much work for you, but a lot of times people are going to check yes and they're on your newsletter list. Words are hard. Words are very hard. That was a tongue twister.
Well, and what you're talking about really is, when somebody is already on your website, ones I think about is just leveraging social media in order, to promote your newsletter.
Mhm.
But again, it can't be, generic. It needs to be, why would somebody want to be on that email newsletter? What are they going to get out of it? It should go to a specific landing page,
Yeah.
and that landing page should really describe, what is in the newsletter. You could also, with your organic social media, kind of make post about a download that you
Mhm.
have that could, build the email list as well. I mean, there's a lot of places you can go with that.
Yeah, for sure. And what you're hinting at with the download is, it can kind of be used as an incentive. So you can offer up something free, and what your audience has to do is they just have to put in their email to receive that free resource, whether that be a download, such as like an ebook, it could be a guide, anything like that, you know, incentivize them with something free. We all love something free.
Yeah.
And they just, give up their email.
It's gotta be a value though too.
For sure. Yeah, you can't just be I mean, there are definitely it goes to an extent. Like you can't
Yeah,
just offer up any generic plain piece of download. Like that's not
yeah, yeah.
not gonna work.
What's another way that you think of?
I recently we've been working with a lot of quizzes.
Oh,
And so, we've got one that's been running for I would say almost what, like a year and a few
yeah,
months.
yeah.
And it does
That's almost
exceptionally well.
100 every month,
Yeah, like, and it was so simple to do. It's like it's almost like passive income, but for your email. Like,
yep,
it's Yeah, we really love that. And what we do with those quizzes is we introduce the audience to an email automation. So we're still in contact with them after that quiz is submitted. Um, but they're
And
also
then they're
part of
going
the
into a
newsletter.
newsletter
Yep.
as well.
Yep.
Yeah. So great value there. It's just coming up with a quiz that you could ask your audience that they would be interested in knowing the answer. And I'm sure there's
Mhm.
hundreds of different quizzes you can think about in
Yeah,
your own business, to kind of take somebody down.
for sure. It definitely allows you to get into your niche with a quiz, I would
Yep.
say.
Yep. I think about when people host webinars,
Mhm.
having a sign up for the newsletter for there as well. Um, there is, you're going to have all these people that just want to go to the webinar, or maybe they just want to get, the recording of the webinar later, and you're going to have their email list. You're going to have the dual benefit of the subject matter that webinar is, so you could segment these people into
Yeah.
a specific service or product. And so if you're regularly doing webinars, that's a regular way to kind of grow emails.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like a lot of people don't put too much thought into webinars in terms of what else they can get out of it. And so,
Mhm.
yeah, I think it's a great way to pick up some more emails.
Yep,
I
yep.
also think about too, like if you're e-commerce or maybe you're even in the service industry, if you're offering up a discount code, so say it's 5 or 10, maybe even 15% off your first purchase, or you get 15% off this service call, what have you. Um, a lot of people will put in their email for, to save money. So,
Yep. Oh, yep. Well, that's another one for sure. I mean, just like you said, like in e-commerce, like that
mhm,
will work. Um,
definitely.
I think of another offline one is like events and conferences.
Yeah.
So, all the way from just networking and you're meeting people and, sending them an email and later and asking them if they want to be part of your newsletter, like perfect. Or even like if you have a table and coming up with some sort of reason for, like we did one where, they could scan a QR code and, sign up for the newsletter and be put into a drawing. Like there's
Mhm.
lots of ways to kind of build those email lists at events and conferences.
Yeah, that's a really good one too. Like going into a drawing to win something.
Hmm.
I feel like that's sometimes underrated.
Oh yeah, yeah. A QR code just on your business card of,
Yeah.
"Hey, don't forget to sign up for my newsletter."
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a great way to do it.
Yeah. I think a big, like, an important thing to remember when you are asking for, someone to sign up for your newsletter, or just, join your mailing list, like, it's you also have to provide good enough content to make them want to do that.
Yeah.
So, as you were talking about earlier with social media, like, organic social media is a great way to showcase and highlight all of the great content that you are coming up with. And, there are other ways that you can do that as well.
Well, any good marketing is going to start with good content.
Yeah.
So you always have to be, mastering that craft and getting better at it. And, we could be listing all these ways for you to join an email list, and it might be slower because you don't have the great content. And so you just have to continue to work on it. I mean,
Mhm.
I use our own newsletter as an example. I hope I've been getting better at content, and we've been
Mhm.
putting out better things. And
Yeah.
we've got an email list that's like 32,000 right now, and it didn't start off that way,
No.
but we've improved our content to where people want to be a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely it was a slow burn type of list building, and then before we knew it, with the content we were producing, it just kind of took off running, and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I mean, you might also have like, I think of another one like CRMs and existing lists, and you could send out an email and ask them to be part of your email
Mhm.
list. and, get that permission that way as well. So
Yeah.
that's not a bad way to try it.
Yeah. No. Well, and I think too, along with that, if you've got a CRM and say you aren't asking if they want to opt in to receive newsletters, if you just start sending that, then same thing with buying a list, you could potentially get a lot of spam,
Mhm.
or people even dropping your email completely or bounces, anything of that matter. So I think you kind of hit it on the head with like
Yeah.
asking them to opt in.
I think one that is simple, but yet it's like, duh. Like,
Mhm.
what about in your own email signature where you have a call to action to like sign up for your newsletter? Like,
Yeah.
it's simple, but it little drip at a time, you can start building it.
Yeah. And something else too for like say a newsletter, it's so like minute, but at the very bottom you can have a button for them to forward. And you can even say like, oh, forward to a friend or send to a
Yep.
friend.
Yep.
It's another one of almost word of mouth type of ways to get someone to subscribe.
Yep. Yep. Well, I mean, you're basically talking about like a referral program.
Yeah, for sure.
For
Yeah.
sure. Website pop-ups, like,
Mhm.
what do people need to know about that?
Yeah, I think pop-ups can be a little tricky sometimes. It's all about the behavior that you're choosing for the pop-ups. We never like to have the pop-up hit as soon as the page loads. We usually will have that populate anywhere from 15 to 20 seconds, after the page load, or maybe even after the user scrolls a little bit, it'll come up. But I will say, rather than even pop-ups lately, we've been using a lot of slide-ins. That way they're not so in your face, but they've
Yeah.
still got their entrance and they're still eye-catching, but they're not annoying our audiences.
Well, that and there's a lot of importance to delaying those as far as site
Mhm.
speed is concerned.
Yes, that is a big one too. Yeah, it does count.
They can make that worse. So
Yep.
I know we could talk, and we've already talked forever about different ways to build an email list. Any last minute thoughts?
Yeah, I would just say building an email list sounds maybe a little tedious, but there are so many different ways and creative ways at that to do this. So maybe stray away from the generic. I think maybe just put in a little more time now and it'll pay off for you, in the
Start
future.
somewhere. Just get
Yeah.
started. Like, you need an email list in 2024.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps it up for now for this topic. We appreciate you listening, and hopefully it was helpful. Please rate and review the podcast if you feel like maybe somebody else wants to listen to the podcast. We try to be helpful on here, and I think I wouldn't be doing a great job if I didn't say that we have a newsletter as well. And you can join ours. We wrote, on this topic. It's on our website. Certainly go check out that article, how to build your email list. And right there on there is you can join our MailChimp list or you can join our newsletter list. So, all right, take care.